Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative.
In the shadows where the truth hides deep, echoes of the lost and the secrets they keep. Cold cases burn in the back of your mind. We dig through the dark, one clue at a time. This ain't fiction, this is blood, this is truth. 12 Gauge Investigative, justice uncaged. We ask the questions they're too scared to say, shining a light where the guilty pray. From killers to whispers, we won't look away.
All right. Welcome back on this Thursday evening. My name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for giving me a chance to entertain you with the true crime genre. One thing that you can expect each and every time here is thorough deep dives, factual information, and little speculation and honesty. So if you're ready for that, let's dive on in. Tonight's case is about an individual, a teen and her mother were at a restaurant. I believe it's a Bubba's 33, and they were eating lunch where an ex-boyfriend comes in who'd been stalking this young lady, hence the ex. And then all chaos commences because who wants to be in the same restaurant with somebody who won't get the hint? It seems like stabbings are becoming more common these days. It's almost like we all have to stay strapped or we all have to have a weapon. How far are we regressing in time, you say? There was a time when we could walk down the street without fearing somebody attacking us, having to defend ourselves from people who don't know boundaries, who feel like they're entitled to say and do as they want. But without further ado, let's get into this case. Are you ready, I ask? Are you ready? If you're ready, buckle in. Let's go for the ride.
18-year-old girl should not know the feeling of getting stabbed. Your Honor, I should not have to remember the feeling of my body being inflicted with a knife over and over again.
Thankfully, Madison Shemitz survived that attack by her ex-boyfriend. Now Spencer Pearson has learned his punishment for nearly killing Shemitz, wounding her mother, and a Good Samaritan.
I'm here before you today to take responsibility for my actions of June 3rd, 2023. And most importantly, I'm here to express my sincerest apology to Madison, Ms. Roget, Mr. Armstrong.
I have the emotional sentencing and why the story isn't over. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Madison Shemitz was nearly killed in June of 2023 when her ex-boyfriend, Spencer Pearson, attacked her with a knife at a restaurant in Ponte Vedra, Florida. Her mother, Jackie Rogue, was also injured trying to save her daughter, and a man named Kennedy Armstrong stopped the attack. The case is absolutely terrifying, and now Spencer Pearson has learned his punishment for the crimes. You'll hear from him, and more importantly, you'll hear from Madison Shemitz later. But first, a recap of how we got to this point. Madison was a 16-year-old girl who had dated Spencer for a relatively short amount of time, about 6 months. Spencer was a star football player and couldn't handle being told no, that the relationship...
Okay, so right off the bat, there's red flags, right? He couldn't handle being told no. Well, I can tell you that most young individuals, males who play sports, have that testosterone level going really high. They're not able to be told no, but still, they should learn that there is a level in which you take your insecurities onto other people.
Relationship was over. It was a sunny day when Madison and her mom went to Mr. Chubby's Wings for lunch. Spencer Pearson showed up and attacked Madison, stabbing her 15 times. Her mom tried to fight off Pearson. Kennedy Armstrong intervened. The body camera footage of the aftermath from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is chilling. The EMTs and the deputies found an awful scene. There was a man laying on the ground wounded, and he's being treated for stab wounds.
What is wrong with you?
Hey, stay away. Okay? Yeah, there you go. Release it. This guy tackled. Give me that third rescue fish. All three are really alive. I'm hurt from one stab in the chest. I had stabbed in the head.
One deputy reported that one of the victims was stabbed in the chest. An EMT worked desperately to save a man who's laying on the ground wounded.
I need our crank kit from the airway back. Can you get our airway back for us?
Airway back.
I need airway back.
Oh, he's got it.
That man who was wounded is Spencer Pearson. Pearson had tried to cut his own throat, and he is the suspect in this case who attacked Madison Shemitz and her mom.
Who was actually?
So let's get down to the nitty gritty of this, because sure, we know what's happening right now, but can you imagine letting this individual into your daughter's life and her allowing him into her life? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this individual shows up and almost take your daughter's life and almost takes your life just because he couldn't be told no. I tell you, none of this makes sense ever.
Cutting himself. Was it this guy or?
This guy. He's the bad
The
guy.
guy in the pink saved them. He ran from across the parking lot and tackled them and got him apart.
We parked. When I walked up, he was laying here cutting his head. So I,
Well, don't step on this.
but I was like, dude. So I just got on top of him, but he had so much. He was still like.
All right.
Madison's mother had tried to stop Spencer Pearson, and as you just heard, a man in a pink shirt, Kennedy Armstrong, was hurt as he tried to stop Pearson.
My husband's the one that got it away from him.
He was cutting his neck.
He was cutting his neck, and my husband
Obviously, he didn't try hard enough to kill himself, or he wouldn't be here, right?
stopped him and threw it, got it away from him. I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to hold on.
Deputies gathered as much information as they could, interviewing a server who spoke with Madison's mom right before the attack.
The mother pulled me outside and asked me if the kid was eating or if he was just there by himself. And I was like, well, he's eating. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, is everything all right? And she said that they had, just some kid stuff going on. They had broken up.
Deputies also interviewed witnesses, including the people who stopped Spencer Pearson.
Love you, ma'am.
Love you, brother. So, what the f happened?
I just backed my truck in, got off of work, and I see the guy on top of that girl right there.
Okay.
I saw that, and I heard yelling. I ran over and knocked him off, and I guess when I knocked him off, sliced me. Crazy.
Where's your wallet at?
I gave it to him right there.
Who's got his wallet?
I have all his
stuff. Yeah, I just need his wallet real quick. I just want to write everything down.
Kennedy Armstrong saved Madison's life.
Dan, you're a hero, man.
I mean, that gives you hope that there still is good people in this world, you know? He said he backed up his truck and heard the screaming, rushed toward her, and knocked that dude off.
You're a hero, like you.
Yeah, bro. You're my hero, brother.
I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back on things like gas and groceries and restaurants. And this past May, Madison walked onto the stage at Ponte Vedra High School to thunderous applause where she collected her high school diploma. Then in July, Spencer Pearson pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree attempted murder and 1 count of aggravated battery causing serious bodily injury. Now to the sentencing hearing. Spencer Pearson's attorneys argued that he was suffering from depression as they asked the judge to give him less time than a life sentence.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? You know, I don't think the founding fathers ever anticipated all these mental cases that would be brought into court to escape accountability. Something needs to take place where you can't use your mental illness as an excuse to get out of accountability, to get less time, because it can't theoretically be measured. You know? That gives people too much leeway to be able to go out and kill somebody and say, well, you know what? I was depressed, so therefore I did what I did. Or I was off my meds, so therefore I did what I did. Because you know what? There's been periods in my life where I took medication and I tried to take myself off, and I didn't go kill anybody. I didn't go hurt anybody, and I was going through a lot of stress myself, going through breakups and all kinds of stuff. Still didn't do it. I believe we need to take a stance. If we're going to start standing for the victims, we need to take a stance against these mental health issues that people are using as ways to get off from being accountable for their crimes.
Spencer Pearson's father, Daniel, testified and apologized to Madison, her mother, and Kennedy Armstrong.
The first thing I want to say is I want to address the victims. Madison, Jackie, Kennedy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry this happened to you. Madison, you were always so sweet. Coming over, you were such a beautiful person to be around. You were so good to our family. I'm sorry this happened to you. I think about you every day. I pray for you every day.
I mean, that's a class act right there. We'll see if the other father does this to the 4 victims in the Idaho 4 case. We'll see if that father or that mother has the common decency as this father does to apologize for their son.
You're a sweet soul. You're a beautiful person. I know that. I'm sorry. Jackie, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you've had to go through a world of hurt and just dealing with all of this. I'm sorry. I pray for you to have peace, and and forgiveness. And I just can't say I'm sorry enough. Y'all don't deserve this. Kennedy, thank you. Thank you for saving multiple lives. You are a hero.
Daniel Pearson was asked about his concerns regarding his son's mental health and whether he sought help for him.
And so prior to that here tomorrow, those 2 sessions in April 13th, 2023, he had never seen a psychologist or a licensed mental health counselor for any reason?
No.
You said, though, he's been struggling with anxiety and issues, I believe y'all have reported as young as elementary school, correct?
Well, we saw anxiety there, but it was nothing that held him back. He still did well in school. He, I guess I would say it just wasn't crippling to him.
The Pearsons also said Spencer had suffered a number of hits while playing high school football that may have impacted him negatively, but prosecutors questioned that assertion.
You testified earlier that, I mean, I understand you said it was an estimation of 10,000 hits, but those are hits. It's fair to say not all to his head hits on the field, correct?
Well, I think it would be safe to say that they were hits to the head based on his position. He was playing defensive line for almost his entire football time frame.
And so when you talk about this, you're just estimating based on games and practices and
I am.
per game. And so that's similar to any, at least I think it's fair to say, similar to any football player in his position.
Correct.
The man who saved Madison's life, Kennedy Armstrong, spoke about the trauma that he suffered from this attack.
This guy could not handle a breakup and proceeded to plan the murder of Madison. His acts intended to leave a family grieving while he took the cowardly way out. A man who could not handle a breakup decided to take the time to stalk, stab, and try to kill a young woman.
See how people are standing up for people that are attacked? I mean, this has been a while, but you know, this is a young man who stopped a crime, got injured himself, got stabbed in the chest, and still did what he did without any thought to his own life. He is a hero.
Doing so impacted many lives, families, friends, and those in our community. Laying the trauma on one unit at Shands on the night of June 3rd, 2023 left me with many thoughts. First being, are those women alive? Second being, why did this happen? Third, will my hand ever work again? I had my hand essentially cut in half, skin flapping, seeing your own bones, along with your own blood spewing from a severed artery was something most can't imagine. I had to control and monitor every single breath to ensure I wasn't losing any more blood than I already had. All while separating myself to make sure our amazing first responders got to Madison and Miss Jackie first. God bless the first responders. Laying in the trauma unit that night, all I was praying for was the help of Madison and Miss Jackie. After 9 hours of being in the main trauma unit, I finally got my own room. I thought that would bring a chance to sleep. However, that did not. I kept praying for the woman whom at the time I did not know, and also refusing to close my eyes because every time I did, I saw the stabbings again, including the cowardly act he did to himself.
And then it was time for Madison Shemetz to speak. With the help of a deputy, Madison walked to the witness stand to confront the man who nearly took her life.
Before I begin, I'd like to preface the statement by explaining just how incredibly difficult this is. To not only set my pride aside, but to vulnerably open up in front of this courtroom, the defendant and his family is difficult. I say this because throughout this process, I've carried myself with grace, and truthfully, I have not opened up in front of others the way I'm about to. I say I'm setting my pride aside because truthfully, I do not believe the defendant nor his family deserve to hear any of the negative ways this experience has impacted me, let alone get to hear all of the positive things I've done after it.
Madison Shemetz then described how the brief relationship she had with Spencer Pearson impacted her so negatively.
Throughout the barely 6 months I was in a relationship with him, I had felt stripped of everything I knew I truly deserved. I knew not only did I not feel happy, I felt suffocated, trapped, manipulated, and controlled. I knew that the relationship.
And you know, that's something that a lot of women have to face these days. Is they don't know how to end a relationship because it could cost them their lives. They have that fear that if I end this, am I going to end up dead? Is this person going to stalk me? Is this person going to harass me? Even if I find somebody else who treats me better, are they going to harass them? There are very few boundaries. And we, for whatever reason, have raised a generation of men or little boys that cannot take the word no without throwing a temper tantrum or potentially harming and even killing the person who's keeping them from whatever they desire. And a lot of parents are to blame for that. And it starts early.
It was giving me far less than what I deserved. As someone who truly takes pride in the human they know they are, I knew I had every right to put myself first and leave the relationship.
Madison went on to describe how she felt fear ending the relationship with Spencer Pearson.
Not even 24 hours after the breakup, the stalking began. As I innocently sat in a Davis Park parking lot with a few friends after a softball game, the defendant decided to show up. Not only did he show up uninvited, he showed up unannounced and unwarranted.
Then Madison Shemetz recalled what happened that day at Mr. Chubby's Wings.
June 3rd, 2023 was without a doubt the absolute worst, most traumatic day of my life, and I remember every single second of it. After going back and forth on what to do, we paid our check and decided to leave the restaurant. At 4:28, myself, my mom, my friend, and her mom all stood up and walked out. Never in a million years did I think that I would never end up making it to my car. I remember walking to the parking lot, texting a friend back, and taking a picture of the defendant's truck. I did this knowing I had to continue to keep track of the defendant's behaviors and appearances for the restraining order we were in the process of trying to obtain. I remember finally reaching my car and hearing my mother scream. Knowing my mother, I could hear her fear. I could hear that whatever was happening was not good. This was when, at 4:30 p.m. on June 3rd, 2023, I turned around and saw the defendant running towards me faster than I had ever seen him run before. Not knowing what was coming next.
And this is what I was talking about earlier in my other live. I was talking about how individuals cannot anticipate how something happens so quickly. She turned around and she said, quote unquote, she saw him running towards her faster than she's ever seen him run before. And in the video surveillance, you see this individual, he is on her in no time, in a matter of seconds, and commences doing what he's doing. She didn't even have a chance to get into the vehicle. And we will watch that after this court hearing, and I will go play by play.
I turned and attempted to go in the opposite direction. This was when the defendant had grabbed me. I hit the ground and began feeling the attack. I remember being on my hands and knees, begging for the defendant to get off me, with my screams slowly becoming more and more silent. I remember staring at the ground, my thoughts being muffled by my mother's constant scream. The scream that had first alarmed me did not stop throughout the entirety of the attack, and frankly, I can still hear it to this day.
Madison Shemitz spoke for 40 minutes about fighting to survive this attack, how she prayed that she would live. She was paralyzed and then spent months and months in physical therapy, and she still suffers from PTSD. But she graduated from high school and is now in college.
Your Honor, I could talk for hours on end about the way that the defendant has negatively impacted each of our lives. But I think after each of these impact statements, it is apparent, it is real, it is constant, and it is daily. Every day is a reminder of the trauma we all endured on June 3rd, 2023. Every day I'm affected by the physical and mental impacts of the defendant's actions. And every day is a reminder of just how cruel, monstrous, and evil the defendant truly is. There is no excuse for his actions. There will never be an excuse. On that day, the defendant chose to try and take my life. He chose to try and take my mother's life, and he chose to severely harm a good and innocent stranger. Your Honor, I can confidently say I am one of the least deserving human beings to have to go through what I have been forced to go through. Your Honor, this is something I will have to deal with for the rest of my life, something I should never have to deal with, and something the defendant should never have the opportunity to do again. Your Honor, on June 3rd, 2023, I was given my own life sentence by the defendant, and I plead with you that the defendant receives the same justified sentence and deserved punishment. Thank you.
Spencer Pearson made a plea for mercy, apologizing to Madison, her mom, and Kennedy Armstrong.
Your Honor, I'm here before you today to take responsibility for my actions of June 3rd, 2023. And most importantly, I'm here to express my sincerest apology to Madison, Ms. Roget, Mr. Armstrong. I'm sure June 3rd was the worst day of their lives. It was also the worst day of mine and always will be. On this day, I hurt 3 innocent people. I think of my terrible crimes committed every second of every day. It's on my mind constantly, and this will never, ever change. I pray that Madison, Ms. Roget, and Mr. Armstrong make full recoveries. I can't begin to imagine what I've put them through and the negative effects I've had on everyone involved. I understand the anger and hatred they all have for me. I will never understand negativity or ill will directed towards my family regarding this subject. They did not do this. I did. There are good people trying to do good in this world, not evil. My parents tried their absolute best to get me help with the limited knowledge and the limited time they had. They are completely devastated and they want their son to get help more than anything. Your Honor, I try my best to live myself after what I've done, but I just don't know how. I need serious help, and I have for a long time. And I'm so sorry for what this has come to, and I'm so sorry for my actions.
In the end.
So, chat, I ask you as you're watching this, you just heard his statements and the victim's statements. I want you to let me know what you feel about his statement. Should he be shown leniency? Did you believe that statement? Don't just answer no. I want you to really think about it, because that's the difference between emotional attachment and logical thinking. Emotional attachment is going to tell everybody in the chat to say, F that dude, he needs to fry, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Logical attachment says, did he take accountability for what he did? Did he push blame off on anybody else? Did he martyr himself in front of the judge? So you answer these questions and you say, well, does he deserve a little leniency? He doesn't deserve to be set free, of course, or be put on probation. But I ask you, does he deserve leniency? There's no right or wrong answers. Type it in the chat.
The judge was not swayed by Spencer Pearson's words or the words of his parents or the psychologist who evaluated him.
That crime, the crime that was described and shown here today, and the result of that crime, and the impact of this crime that it has had on all three of the victims in this case, leads this court to the conclusion that any deviation below the guidelines is inappropriate. So I'm declining and denying the defendant's motion for downward departure.
Spencer Pearson sat at the defense table awaiting the judge's decision, seemingly resigned to his fate.
I have considered the mitigating circumstances that have been well presented by the defense in this case. Mr. Kachergis, you have done an excellent job in representing your client and providing this court with mitigation. And this court has carefully thought and weighed and considered your client's age, his lack of any prior criminal history, the fact that he was suffering from clearly a depressive state of mind when this happened, and his age. You were sentenced to serve the remainder of your life in prison.
Spencer Pearson has been sentenced to life in prison. Madison Shemitz and her family are now suing Spencer Pearson's parents and the restaurant where she was eating when she was stabbed for $50 million. The suit claims Pearson's parents did not get him the help that he needed, and the restaurant failed to provide security to protect Madison and her mom, Jackie.
All right, we just seen the court process and a sentence handed down by the judge. Now I'm going to walk you through this because there is no sound on this. And this is the video footage from the restaurant. So the family of Madison is suing this restaurant and the family of the attacker, obviously, for $50 million. And here we go. I was watching this earlier and the internet went out, so I had to start this again. But I'm uncertain if this is the individual, the ex-boyfriend that's pulling in. I believe it is, but I'm not for certain. And I'm not even going to say his name. It's mentioned in the other portion. But I'm going to focus on the individuals that were injured. Because the individuals that are injured are the victims. The potential perpetrator doesn't deserve the spotlight. See, there's that truck again. So I believe that that's his vehicle. He's going through the parking lot looking for his ex-girlfriend Madison's vehicle. And there they are. There's Madison, her mother, Madison's friend, and her mother. I believe that Madison is in the black. Or possibly the yellow. I get this video confused because she looked totally different in court. She's a brunette in court, so it could be in the yellow tank top, I'm sure, but I'm not 100% certain. So don't judge me. So this is a video, and they're at a wing place. I don't know what it's called. It's in the other video. And there walks in the ex-boyfriend, the guy that walked toward behind the hostess counter and sat down. Here you're going to see him walking in, and he sits at the first table behind the hostess. Earlier, I thought it was an employee because, it's right behind the hostess, but that is just a table for two. So he sits there incognito, and you can see where he's kind of watching his ex-girlfriend Madison and her friend and family, where he has a perfect vantage point to be able to see exactly where she's at. And then he gets up, tentatively goes toward the bathroom, I guess. That's him walking down that aisle, and Madison and her family see him. And then he comes back to the bar area and sits down back at that table to have the perfect vantage point to be watching and surveying. He had been stalking her after they broke up after 6 months. She had described in the court process that it was a tumultuous relationship, that it would very negatively impacted her life, and that she didn't want anything to do with him, that she felt smothered and suffocated. And he couldn't take no for an answer. And many believe that this is part of the reason why he did what he did. So they're all sitting there eating or just talking, it looks like. Looks like they finished their food. The ex-boyfriend is within probably 50 yards of this table. As you can see, the hostess desk, he is right behind the hostess counter. So he's able to be surveying her and her family and friend. They're obviously there just enjoying the atmosphere. They're not doing anything other people don't do on a normal day. The restaurant is, vibrant. It looks like it's 6/3/2023. And it looks 16/27 to about 4:27 in the afternoon. And they're just sitting there. So he's probably texting Madison at this point. She's looking around now. See how she automatically just looked up? Maybe they didn't notice him right off the bat. But she's looking and talking to her friend after she looked at her phone. All of a sudden, her demeanor changes. She's still looking at her phone. And she's looking around. So something's up at this point. He's either texting her, possibly even sending photos of him being in the restaurant. See, I think that's mom right there. Standing up. Everybody deciding, hey, we need to get out of here. Not a good place. He's obviously here somewhere. We need to go. You notice Madison's still on her phone. If that is indeed Maddie, I'm assuming that's Maddie. Or the brunette could be Maddie. She's just a little heavier set there. I will be able to tell you, not really heavy. She's just a bigger girl than the girl in the yellow. But regardless, they're They're getting up to leave. And all hell's about to break loose. They've already paid for their meal. The one lady stays behind. There's the mom. So I think that's Maddie right there, the brunette. And that's her friend. And as you can see, the ex-boyfriend's still sitting at the table. He is down here. He notices that they left. It doesn't look like he got any wings. I mean, that would have been some fast service right there to get the wings. And that looks like a server right there. That's the server that was interviewed. And she was the one that was talking about, you know, they telling her about what's been going on. And she said that he was just eating. And then he walks out, 32 right there. And then as she says, he takes off running towards her faster than he's ever seen him run ever. So here, I guess you're going to see that. See, it looks like they're just meandering outside with the waitress. She goes back inside. And within a couple, not even a minute, I would say, here he comes. Right here. There he goes. And this is where it really gets intense. See, they're walking toward that white vehicle. That's Maddie. Yeah, Maddie's the brunette. And there he runs up to her, starts stabbing her. Instantly. Okay, the lady in the yellow, that's her mom. Okay, I had it wrong. There, the Good Samaritan runs and knocks him off. Everybody starts going that direction. The ex-boyfriend turns the knife on himself. He slices the Good Samaritan's hand. And they're fighting to try to get him off of Maddie and the mother. So did you see how fast that happened? And like I was saying in the video yesterday, if you've never encountered anything that vicious that quickly, your understanding for something to happen that quick, you'll never understand it. Because that was quick, methodical, and premeditated. Let me rewind that. Let me rewind that a little bit. Okay, there's Maddie walking to her car. She get there, no chance to even defend herself. He's on her like nothing. The mother's trying to get him off, and he starts stabbing her too. Here comes the Good Samaritan. Knocks her off. Tried to get him off. And then he starts stabbing himself and even slicing his own throat. But isn't it interesting how he knew exactly where to be, how to be, and how methodical he planned all this out? If that was his truck that was at the very beginning, he did a circle around the business to find where her vehicle was. And possibly wouldn't even park close to it so he could get away after the stabbing occurred. I don't buy this Romeo and Juliet bullshit. I'm going to kill you then, or I'm going to kill myself and then you're going to kill yourself. You know, that young love type stuff. Nah, this is bullshit. She didn't want anything to do with him. And he essentially made that choice for her. Now they're just waiting for the ambulance and everybody to show up, pretty much. Everybody's over there bleeding and stabbed. And I know even if you're watching this video, you're still like, what did I just watch? You watched an unedited, uncut, no sound reality of a crime that went down. A crime that ensued in a life sentence being handed down by a judge. These two people lived and he got life in prison. 4 people died in another case and he got life in prison. Do you see how unfair sometimes life is? I believe that the other person should have got the death penalty. But Madison did make a recovery. She was able to cross the stage at her high school and receive her high school diploma. She was able to bravely be at the court hearing and give her disposition to the court about her experience with this individual and exactly what she endured in the 6 months that they were together. I don't think there's anything more to see here. I'm going to fast forward it because they're being taken care of right now at this point. So let me show you once again this going down and how quickly it happens. You're going to see Maddie and her mom already walk by. There goes the perpetrator. There's Maddie. You're going to see her coming to her vehicle. And within seconds, he's on her. And he's stabbing. And there goes her mom to try to save her. And she gets stabbed. And there goes somebody to help. So like I said, if you've never had anything happen like this or even witnessed it, I could see why you would not believe that certain things happen the way they do. I could see that. I really could. And sometimes it's impossible to take your mind there, and sometimes it's hard for you to even process that there are evil people in the world, even though they've never done anything bad before. But all of a sudden they choose to do something like this just because he couldn't be told no. And she was going to leave him. She was going to leave him. So I leave you with this. I hope that you're more vigilant in your surroundings. I hope that you're more vigilant when it comes to taking the notes and everything needed to protect yourself against an individual that can't be told no. An individual that stalks you or cyber stalks you or tries to harass your new relationship. Don't just think it'll go away, because once it's gotten to that point, it's going to only intensify. You need to let a lot of people know. And she was with other people and she still got attacked. In broad daylight at a restaurant. So there's no foil-proof plan for anybody. You get what I'm saying? So just be mindful of your surroundings. And please take care of yourself on this 4th of July weekend. For 12 Gauge Investigative, my name is 12 Gauge. Until we meet again soon, Maestro, cue that music.